What's up, YouTube Gen X? Let's set the record straight here. You're well-to-do, progressive black men, you're black men who get it, do not have a problem with black women celebrating their successes and also highlighting areas in which they are excelling at. That is great. You know, we want to see more of it. So when it comes to programs like Black Girls Rock, it's not about being jealous or envious over them celebrating whatever accomplishments that they want to highlight. To get that wrong, or this current state of where you assume that it's over some anger or jealousy, highlights the fucking problem. Here we go, this sort of hatred, black men are monsters or whatever, then turning around and playing dumb when it comes to why brothers are like, well, fuck it, we're not on the same team. You can't have a group saying that on one end you're this sort of adversary, this sort of enemy that it's about triumphing over because he's going to hold you down, then fucking talk about how there's no sense of togetherness or whatever, and this shit highlights that. So instead of understanding what's going on, you have this sort of simplistic, oh, it's because they're jealous or envious. What the fuck? We want to see more of it. Little black girls and teenage black girls need to see what it feels like to excel and do well. Because right now, to tell you the truth, reality TV is destroying y'all. Literally. It is fucking y'all over. Far worse, at the end of the day, far worse than what hip-hop has done to black women, especially when you want to look at now how black women aren't even part of hip-hop. So if anything, you know, your Latina chick or your multiracial chick should be complaining about hip-hop in terms of how they're portraying women, right? You know, on a side note. But anyways, you look at what reality TV is doing, and it's doing more harm. In my opinion, it's doing way more harm, and the younger generation of black women, this is what they watch every day 24/7. This is what they're exposed to. It's what they're exposed to. So this is what they see. This is what they want to copy. This is what they want to imitate. As much as it may be entertaining for grown-ass adults, for these younger girls, right, let's say girls under the age of 20, this is almost like what they follow. This is their creed. This is how you're supposed to be living life. Foolishly. So to see a program like Black Girls Rock, it's a breath of fresh air knowing that this is something different. This is something new. You can be about more. And it feels better. But here's the problem. When it comes to your successful black women, here's the problem. Number one, you guys don't acknowledge who's helped you out. When brothers make it, we acknowledge the mother, the father, right? We acknowledge the friends. We acknowledge the co-workers or whoever helped us out, the mentor. To the point it's even overkill because we acknowledge the girlfriends and the wives that quite frankly came afterwards. You know, like I said before, let me win an award, and I'm not bringing my wife on stage. I'll acknowledge her, but when it comes to where I got, how I got to where I am, she wasn't there. She wasn't part of that. So I'm not knocking her for it, but it's just the truth. Why am I going to thank somebody for not doing anything because they weren't there? In the same way, I'm not expecting her to thank me for her successes because that was done before she met me. But what do black men do? Without my wife, I wouldn't be where I am. Without the girlfriend or whatever, I wouldn't be where I am, to the point where it's overkill. And sometimes, in my opinion, we do forget all the hard work and feelings of loneliness and isolation, and you know, where you're dealing with racism and jobs that you hate, but you have to go through that by yourself. We forget about what we did on our own because we so much want to acknowledge everybody that helped us. The old lady that gave me lemonade on a hot day, you know, without her I wouldn't be where I am. Like, we acknowledge everybody. And we forget all the shit that we did on our own. But that's what we do. To the point where it's overkill, once again. Whether Barack was president or not, we all know that he was okay well before he met Michelle. So if Michelle was some hood chick, she would have still been okay. She would have still been living some upper middle class sort of lifestyle. Right? But you have this sort of, oh, without her, he would be nothing. And the dumb part about it is, let Barack's wife had been white, and she would have been a gold digger. She would have been somebody riding his coattails. But it is what it is. So when you look at the other side, you have this sort of, on your successful black woman side, you have this sort of lack of acknowledging who helped you. What about your dad? What about your father? Especially if you went to college. Let's keep it real. Yeah, there's not a lot of black women that are coming from homes where they know their father, but let's keep it real. The ones that do are overly populated within, your college realm. Where if I want to find black women who came from a two-parent home, or black women who know their fathers, I'm going to go to college. Or look for educated black women, because more than likely, right, you knew your father. But yet, when Keisha gets her MBA, who is she recognizing? Her parents, her mother, her father? Nope, she did it all on her own. Oh, so your father, didn't pay your tuition. Oh, so your father wasn't paying for your rent or whatever. Or he didn't give you the down deposit for that condo you're living in Atlanta. Oh, your father wasn't there. So there's no credit. Or the brothers that helped you out, they didn't have the opportunity to go to college, but they worked hard, helped you out here and there. When your brakes needed to be fixed, who helped you? I know a couple of chicks by their own admission that said, yeah, they had brothers at home, older brothers at home, right, that didn't have the same opportunities, but they're helping them out. Whether it's working legally or illegally, selling drugs, selling crack or whatever, doing what they have to do, helping out the sister here and there, or the cousin here and there. True stories. But yet, once again, let Tamika make it. She got her MBA. And she did it all on her own. There's no acknowledgement. So that's a problem there. So, in a sense, the men are guilty for almost overthinking people, and you're guilty for underthinking people. So that's the issue. That's the problem. It's not about celebrating your successes. This is more so about not acknowledging the people that helped you out. Number 2, and this is probably the bigger issue, in my opinion, it's the double standard. Your successful progressive black women want to say, hey, even though the vast majority of black women out here are on some like hood, baby mama sort of shit, right, we are our own unique group. We want to be treated as such, right? And we don't want to be saddled down with what those women are doing, which I can respect. I don't have a problem with that. I've even told brothers before that it doesn't matter about what the vast majority of black women are doing. You see that chick that you want, that has the qualities that you want, you better come at her appropriately. Don't come at her sideways. Don't come at her on some like, well, they doing this over there. No, this is what you want, so act accordingly. So you guys were able to do that. You're saying, hey, we're going to pat ourselves on the back, and we're not going to be tied down to what your unproductive black women are doing. Fine. That's great. That's cool. We accept that. We acknowledge that. But you guys then turn around and look at your progressive black men and say, hey, we want to saddle you down with what the unproductive brothers are doing. Let's keep it real. So I see what you're doing over there, but what about, all them niggas over there not doing much? Let there be Black Boys Rock, where we're celebrating, the accomplishments of black men, and you would get to sort of, well, what about black men being number one in this negative category, and being last place in this positive category? And you're sitting there and you're like, wait a minute. So we can't, be our own group in terms of supporting each other and acknowledging what we're doing? You want to bring in the unproductive? It's annoying. I can't tell you how many conversations I've been in where it's clear that the men in the room are your educated dudes, the women in the room are your educated ones, and the women will run to what unproductive black men are doing as if you're supposed to answer for that. As if that's your problem to fix. But if I'm like, what about your hood queens, your baby mamas, your chicks on welfare? They're sitting back and they're like, what does that have to do with me? So that is a fucking problem. To the point where some of y'all will adopt attitudes and behaviors and viewpoints based off of your unproductive black men and tell the productive ones, you have to deal with it. But then turn around and say, it doesn't work for me. No. You have to treat me based off of who I am. So that's the problem. This This is the problem. It's not about simply celebrating or acknowledging the successes of black women. We need more of it. So in conclusion, it's about A, not acknowledging who's helped you out, right? Whether it was your father or the brothers or whoever in your life helped you, and you're saying, I did it all on my fucking own. Whereas you have brothers who are overthinking people, A, and B, you have this sort of, we want to be our own unique group that's not going to be settled down, right, with what unproductive black women are doing, but then you're turning around and you're telling the productive black men that we're going to hold you accountable for unproductive black men. And some of us are going to act in a way that is reflecting the unproductive black men and not the productive ones. So that's the issue. That's the problem. Y'all take it easy. God bless.